Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining today is your city administrator, Chad Brecklin, and Chad has officially stolen my seat at the TF set. You look good there, Chad. You really look good.
I have to say, I feel like an entirely new person sitting in this chair versus the one just to my right. So, yeah, thank you, Jeremy, for sharing your chair with me today.
This is in practice we will be having a lot of updates coming up here, informational sessions on the referendum, and we're going to be using the Talking Fitchburg set for our virtual meetings. So this is kind of a test trial for you, and that's where we're actually going to focus our conversation today. The City Council voted to place a question for referendum on the November ballot. So today we want to kind of talk a little bit about what that means, and then talk about these upcoming sessions, information sessions, and then just let people know where they can find information. So Chad, first off, you and I have talked about this on the show a lot. How did we get to this point where we do have a question that was put on the ballot?
Right, yeah, exactly. We have talked about this a fair amount, which is a good thing, making sure that our community is aware of what's happening. And just a brief recap is we've been spending since June of 2023 discussing referendum and revenues and financing or financial needs for the city of Fitchburg with our Common Council. And all of that conversation had culminated in a vote on a resolution on August 27th that would authorize the city to place a $3.6 million operating referendum on the November 5th ballot. And at that meeting on August 27th, our Common Council did vote in favor of placing that referendum question on the ballot for November 5th. So that's how we've gotten to this point. And, we'll be doing a number of information sessions regarding the referendum and what's included in the referendum and so forth in the next couple of months here.
So let's take a look at some of the proposed pieces in this referendum. If you could kind of break that down for us. I know you have in the past, but where did we actually end up with as far as what's on the ballot?
Yeah, so through a process of regular communication with our Common Council, as well as information that was shared from the results of the community survey earlier this year, ultimately, we comprised a number of items into this, or included a number of items into this referendum. Staffing is a big component of the referendum. There'll be 11 public safety positions that could be funded with the money that would be potentially approved by our voters at the upcoming election. Specifically, those public safety positions would be 3 police officers, 1 lieutenant, and 1 sergeant in our police department, and 6 firefighters in our fire department. And there are also 3 non-public safety positions, essential city staff that would be hired regarding the referendum. That would be 1 communications director, 1 human resources generalist, and 1 finance manager position. And then, as we've discussed at Common Council and also on this program, there is a police services facility that is currently being planned for across the street from our library. The operating costs associated with that police facility would be included in this referendum, as well as improvements to our transit and paratransit systems here in the community. And then the final piece is other city operating expenses. There's a very small portion of the overall referendum that would be dedicated to overall city operating expenses. One of the main things that this bucket, so to speak, of funding would go for would be to ensure that all of the part-time or paid-on-call firefighters that we have in the city would receive a minimum base rate of $15 per hour. Currently, their minimum base rate is about $12 per hour. And the other thing, obviously, that with that small amount of operating capacity is to really continue to help offset some of our inflationary pressures that continue to remain for the cost of goods, services, equipment, and operating expenses, as well as our salary and benefit-related expenses to ensure we're continuing to recruit and retain the best and brightest minds to serve our community.
Chad, I'd asked you this question last time we got together, but I think it's going to be a common question that comes up is just why? Why are we here? Why did we get to this spot? I know it's not an easy question, but if you were going to summarize how we got here today, you kind of already laid out a little bit of that, but that would be, I think, a pretty good question to answer.
Yeah, no, it is a great question and one that many in our community will have. And first and foremost, this budget is, or I'm sorry, this referendum is not being put forward to close any sort of budget deficit. Our city staff, and more importantly, our Common Council, have been very financially prudent over the last number of years, which is also evidenced by the fact that our bond rating by Moody's was recently increased to AAA to reflect the financial decision making that has taken place over a number of years recently. But what we're up against right now is state-imposed levy limits that limit the amount of levy that is able to be collected from our property taxpayers. And when you couple that levy limit being tied to net new construction, even in a growing community such as ours, we basically need a lot of growth, 3% net new construction, really to just have a 3% adjustment in the amount of property tax revenue we're able to capture, so to speak, or collect. And with that 3% net new construction leading to a 3% increase in our levy, that really only allows us to, at best, maintain existing services and maintain existing staffing levels within the city. It doesn't allow us to add staff, for instance, or enhance existing services as a recognition or direct result of the growing needs in our communities. So we're kind of at a rock and a hard spot, so to speak, in that we need to grow in order to allow the levy limit to increase. But the growth that allows the levy limit increase really only is allowing us to maintain existing services and staffing. And this referendum will be utilized to add much needed staff capacity to maintain and in some cases enhance existing services and also enhance or improve existing services such as our transit system. So it's a bit complicated. We'll try to do our best to explain the why behind it, but I think the big takeaway is we're a growing community. We have staff capacity and service needs that are not being met based upon levy limit restrictions. And this is not a referendum to close a budget gap. This is a referendum to add much needed capacity and, in some cases, improve services.
So Chad's going to get an opportunity to share more about the in-depth of the why and kind of breaking this down starting on September 18th through the end of October. We're going to host 7 different informational sessions. And Chad, this will be a time where you'll kind of go through kind of a synopsis of the where, when, why, how, I would say, from a media side, but to kind of go through this, but also give people an opportunity to ask questions. And that we want to answer questions. We want to make sure people understand what's going on here. So tell us about these upcoming sessions.
Yeah, the first one will be next Wednesday, September 18th at 5:30 p.m. That'll be the very first one, as I mentioned. That'll be a virtual information session. And we're going to have a total of 3 of those virtual information sessions. The second virtual session will be October 9th at 12 p.m. We thought we'd do one over the lunch hour in case folks would like to spend their lunch hour listening to me talk about referendum, which I'm sure will be riveting. And the third virtual session would be October 28th at 6 p.m. And I don't want to speak for Fact TV, but I have a strong suspicion that one or more of those virtual sessions will be available to stream on demand whenever it might be most convenient for somebody who would like to take a look at those. And then we're also doing 4 in-person information sessions, 1 in each of our aldermanic districts. The first one will be September 23rd at 6 p.m., and that'll take place in Aldermanic District 1, which the location specifically will be the Redeemer City Church at 5356 King James Way. The second in-person session will be September 30th at 6 p.m. This will be in Aldermanic District 2, and that'll be held at City on a Hill Church, 2924 Fish Hatchery Road. The third information session will be October 17th at 6 p.m. That'll be in Aldermanic District 3 and hosted at Fitchburg Fire Station number 3 at 2950 South Scion Road. And then the fourth and final in-person information session will be in Aldermanic District 4. That'll be on October 21st at 6 p.m., and that'll be held at the Four Winds Farm at 5735 Adams Road. So a number of opportunities for folks to come out and learn more about the referendum, and a couple of different ways in which they could potentially learn more about it, either in person or virtually.
I remind folks to head out to our website, fitchburgwi.gov. Right on our homepage, we do have the referendum tab there that you can go in, and everything that Chad just talked about today, including those dates, are on the website. There will be the virtual piece. We will have the link on there for you to sign up if you would like to attend that virtual meeting, speak at that virtual meeting. That'll be on the website as well here in the coming days. Chad, I appreciate the time. Looking forward to continuing to share out information, and we'll get you back in here next month.
Sounds great, Jeremy. Thanks for all you and your team are doing to help us communicate with our community.